So, the seventh lawsuit, Mr. Sean Combs, comes from Crystal Mckinney, plaintiff, against Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, Bad Boy Entertainment LLC, Bad Boy Records. I am just going to take myself off screen here so we can fully focus on this document. Plaintiff Crystal Mckinney, by and through her attorneys Phillips and Associates p.l.a.c. hereby alleges in Avers of the defendants Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, Bad Boy Entertainment. All right, we know that part right there. Nature of the action. Plaintiff brings suit against defendants pursuant to the NYC Gender Motivated Violence Act NYC Admin Code to redress the substantial and lifetime injuries she has suffered as a result of being drugged and sexually assaulted by Sean Combs or P. Diddy. This court has jurisdiction over this action pursuant to 28 and so far as there complete diversity between the parties and the amount in controversy exceeds $75,000. Plaintiff is a citizen of the state of Georgia. Defendant Combs is a citizen of the state of California. Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings Incorporated is a domestic business corporation licensed to do business in New York. Bad Boy Entertainment LLC, also in New York. Sean John, also in New York. Universal, New York. The venue is venue is proper in the Southern District of New York as well. Procedural requirements. The NYC Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act. The NYC Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act created a look-back window on March 1st, 2023, which runs for 2 years for survivors of gender motivated violence, allowing them to sue their abusers regardless of when the abuse occurred. So now they can actually go back in time to actually see, or should I say, people can go back in time now and say, hey, this person raped me, this person assaulted me. Regardless of there any being proof, the allegations can still be made. Now, this is, of course, is coming right after him basically doing an admission of guilt of the Cassie video. So it's a lot of things on the table now to where you have to actually think about the fact that, hey, this guy has a history of this violence. And it says the NYC Gender Motivated Violence Act revives any claims against a party who commits, directs, enables participants in, or conspires in the commission of a crime or violence motivated by gender has a cause of action against such party in any court of incompetent jurisdiction in NYC. The appellate division has held the sexual assault is an act of gender motivated violence under the law as coerced sexual activity is dehumanizing and fear-inducing, malice or ill-based, or gender is apparent from the alleged commission of the act itself. This also sounds like Mr. Tyrone. I was gonna play Call Tyrone as the intro because Tyrone is killing it right now. So the parties, of course, in the defendant P. Diddy. 1982, P. Diddy founded Bad Boy Records. We already know this part about who P. Diddy is. So let's get on to it. Upon information and belief, P. Diddy has a long history of committing physical and sexual violence against women and men, as documented in publicly available lawsuits and extensive media coverage. You know this is Tyrone here now. He getting to the nitty gritty on it. He just gonna hit you with it. It damn near sound like defamation of character and slander when Tyrone get a hold of a lawsuit. I'll tell you that much. On November 16th, 2023, Cassie Ventura, an artist signed onto Bad Boy Records, filed a suit in the United States. We already know about this part right here. November 23, Joy Dickerson, of course, and then you got November 23rd, another one, Liza Gardner. Then you had December 6th, another Jane Doe that was with Harvey Pierre. You had the other one with Aaron Hall. Then February 26th, you had Rodney Jones. In 1992, Combs founded Bad Boy Records, a record label which has sold over 500 million records, and where he produced records by Mary J. Blige, Notorious B.I.G., and Usher. On February 6, 2003, Combs signed a distribution deal with Universal Records for Defendant's Bad Boy Records. From 2003, 2005, and 2009 to present, Universal Music Group continued to distribute Bad Boy Records catalog. Sean John Clothing LLC. So now they're getting into the actual clothing of things. It's crazy how she's suing the clothing company, considering she's a model. That's a key factor in there too. That she's suing the clothing company. No, I don't think everyone's even put the clothing company in the lawsuit before with the rape case. Factual allegations. At the age of 17, the plaintiff McKinney won MTV's inaugural model mission on December 5th, 1998, a televised modeling competition akin to Miss America, and was awarded a modeling contract with IMG. Shortly thereafter, plaintiff's career took off. Plaintiff modeled for Tommy Hilfiger's jean campaign. McKinney was also featured in Macy's catalog, Elle, Cosmopolitan, and Mademoiselle magazine. So she was all over. She was everywhere. Crystal McKinney was everywhere at the time in the 90s. Or I should say, yeah, in the late 90s, early 2000s. So it says here that she also made appearances in television and film programs such as MTV's Total Request Live. Who remembers Total Request Live? TRL back in the day. Remember TRL back in the day. I'm trying to remember the actual host that was there. It was Dave something, I think. I can't remember his name. He's a pretty likable guy, though. I wonder what he's got to say about all these things nowadays that D's going through this. Fast Will Be Loud, True Life. In a movie with Joan Rivers, furthermore, McKinney had international modeling gigs in Germany and Australia. So a fashion designer invites McKinney to the Men's Fashion Week to meet Diddy. In 2003, when McKinney was 22 years old, a fashion designer invited McKinney to attend a Men's Fashion Week event held at Cipriani downtown. Located at 376 West Broadway in New York. At the time, McKinney was engaged in modeling gigs in Miami, Florida, and flew to New York for the event. The designer told McKinney that he would be introducing her to Diddy, which could advance her modeling career. The designer began to direct McKinney's appearance as he sought to ensure that he found her attractive. Okay, so basically he was already lining her up. If you aren't reading between the lines, he was already lining her up and selling her off to Diddy, basically. Not necessarily, you can almost say in a pimp form. You could almost say in a pimp form the way he's already saying, hey, if you talk to Diddy, he'll advance your career in modeling. Now, let's think about this. None of this is saying, hey, why don't you talk to Diddy and do some modeling for Sean Combs or do some modeling for Sean John? Did any of that say that? Right? If he was really trying to get a hookup for the modeling career, he would say, hey, maybe Diddy will let you model some clothes. He didn't say that. He said, yo, just introducing you to Diddy would advance your modeling career. So he's basically showing her off, trying to make her be more attractive to Diddy already. Okay? For instance, the designer instructed McKinney to go to Elizabeth Arden to get a root touch up to ensure it was a platinum blonde. The designer also scheduled a stylist to put in hair extensions for McKinney. The designer then handpicked a black leather coat with a fur hood, a translucent chiffon, a beige V-cut shirt, fur-lined handbag, and jewel-encrusted jeans for McKinney to wear to the event. So she was laced out. She was laced out and ready to go to meet Diddy. But if you read, she was also dressed on the sexy side to appeal attractive to him as well. Keep note of that. Due to the traumatic events to occur later, Mckinney saved the unwashed clothing from that night in her closet where they remain in a plastic wrap. So let's keep note of that there, because that's going to be that might be a little bit funny later as we get into this. She kept everything with her in a plastic wrap from that night. Needless to say, she kept the evidence. She kept the files. Combs makes promise of her career advancement. Soon thereafter, Mckinney took a car to Cipriani downtown where the designer was dining with Diddy and other guests. Mckinney felt little control over the events as she was directed what to do and put on display for the others in attendance. For instance, Mckinney sat down at an empty seat next to the designer, but he insisted that she sit down directly across from Diddy instead. Once seated, Diddy made a very public display of coming on to Mckinney in a sexually suggestive manner, which continued throughout the dinner. So like I said, the stylist pretty much just sold her off to Diddy. He wanted Diddy to get her, basically. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy made some type of call or texted Diddy and said, yo, hey, I got such and such coming. You know what I mean? I'm going to dress up nice for you. Da 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 da. He probably even got an incentive for it as well. Allegedly. For others to hear, Diddy bestowed compliments on Mckinney by stating, for example, that she was beautiful and that her eyes were gorgeous. Later, and at more intimate volume, Diddy told Mckinney was going to make it big one day as a model. Combs went on to tell plaintiff that he had power in the industry and was going to help her advance her career. Now, don't this sound familiar? Don't this sound familiar from Mr. Little Ron? That sounds almost identical to what he said to Little Rod. To where he told Little Rod, hey, I'm gonna get you $250,000. I'm gonna get you this house. I'm gonna give you one of my mansions. I'm gonna get you a Grammy. I'm gonna make sure you make it big. Right? He told Little Rod that same exact thing. He told Cassie this same exact thing. Keep that in mind. Diddy provided Mckinney with his phone number as a gesture of good faith in his promises to help her. Throughout their interactions, Diddy was flirtatious, bordering on leering as he leaned across the table towards her. Diddy also plied Mckinney with alcohol throughout the dinner as he repeatedly refilled her glass with wine. After the meal ended, Diddy told Mckinney that he wanted to get to know her better. Diddy asked Mckinney to call him a bit later. McKinney felt confused but hopeful that Diddy would fulfill his promises to help her career. So she's thinking, hey, okay, I'm giving him my number. Maybe he'll call me with some good news or some advancement or something like that, you know. So McKinney meets Diddy again at his studio, where he then drugs and sexually assaults her. Later that night, Diddy requested McKinney come see him at the studio located at 321 West 44th Street. If I'm not mistaken, that's not the Hit Factory, but that is in Manhattan. It is definitely in Manhattan. McKinney felt reassured that she would be with others at the studio rather than alone in a personal residence. When McKinney arrived, she found that Diddy and several other men were seated together. She found that they were passing around a bottle of Hennessy and joints. After McKinney sat down, one of Combs' associates asked her, "Do you smoke weed?" To which she responded affirmatively. So let's also paint the picture here. So she walks in the studio. This isn't nothing like a modeling gig or his office or his bedroom or anything like that. This is just him, asking her to come down to the studio. Now, what does that mean? Let's be honest, fellas. This is for my guys out there. Let's be honest, fellas. How many times, and this is for my musicians out there, of course, how many times have y'all asked the shorty to come to the studio? And this is almost going to sound like Chris Alvarez. It's crazy. How many times have y'all asked the shorty to come to the studio to just listen to some beats? Let's be honest here. How many times have y'all asked the shorty to just come listen to my music real quick? Or let's just hang out? Of course, you're asking her to come down to the studio to proposition her. Allegedly. Let's just be honest here. Okay? So she sits down. She notices there's Hennessy and weed going on around already. She notices she's the only girl there, pretty much. There's other guys around, but she's pretty much the only girl. At that point, let me ask the ladies now. At that point, do you either sit down or do you say, hey, Diddy, can I talk to you real quick? What did you call me down here for? Which one are you doing? If you're down with what's going on or you're curious about things, you're going to sit down. If you're about your business and want to know what's going on with him saying he's going to advance your career, you're going to probably pull him to the side and say, hey, what did you call me down here for? What exactly did you need? I had something else I had to do possibly. You know what I mean? But you're a young 22-year-old also. Let's put that in perspective. You're a young 22-year-old, probably a little bit not on the naive side. She is blonde. Sorry to say like that. She is blonde. Going down to a studio with a bunch of brothers. We kind of know what's about to happen. So, Diddy says, associate replied, you've never had weed like this before. Now, let me backtrack real quick. Mckinney sat down. One of Combs' associates asked her, do you smoke weed? To which McKinney responded, affirmatively, yeah, I smoke weed. Diddy says, you've never had weed like this before. Now, when I saw that, the first thing I thought about.
Yesterday, I had smoked something that Puff had gave me, and it was like it was as if I had partied like 3 nights straight. It was like, it was the craziest. I was like, I'm about to go to the airport. I need something that'll knock me out. I mean, it totally did the opposite. I was doing crazy dance moves to the weirdest music for 20 minutes straight, like while he was on the phone, and I was just outside the window looking in while he was looking at me like, man, I just wanted someone to go to the airport, just to last me so I can knock out on this flight. And he's like, yeah, I'm having my guy. So he goes down, comes back up with his stuff, and the guy shows Puff, and I was like, no, I'm trying to give him like he said the Snoop Doggy Dog is what he said he's trying to give me. So I was like, oh yeah, for sure. I want, yeah. What is that? What's up with that? Where's that at?
Sounds good. Whatever the hell that is.
I'm like, what is that? So long story short, he finally finds it, and he's like, oh, here you go. He's like, now my guy said take 4 hits and like stop.
All right.
And we didn't.
You just kept going.
So, yeah, and so like he was like, come back up in 5 minutes. And I mean, when I tell you I came back up in 5 minutes and like had a result for him, like, you know what I mean? Like if it was.
And then he's on the phone running his empire.
Yeah.
And you're dancing naked outside of his window.
Like, tweaking balls, yeah.
So, see, that's what I thought about. Like, so this ain't the first time Puff done passed somebody some weed, and there was some shit in it. King Osmond says beats alright. Yeah, exactly. Like, you went to go listen to some beats. If you're gullible and young, some would sit nervous. Right. That's the thing. She was young, 22 years old. So it's like, you have to put that into perspective also. She doesn't necessarily know what the fuck is even going on when she's going to the studio with a bunch of niggas going around. I'm just saying, she don't know what the hell is about to go on. I would have left for real, but she probably was caught in the moment and was convinced to stay, so she stayed. Right. She didn't know what the hell was about to happen. He admitted low key the weed was not regular. I would have said, just send me the beats and not went. That's another thing. She don't even rap. What the hell you going to the studio for? You don't rap, you don't sing, you model. What are you going to the studio for? I'm just saying. What are you even going down to the studio for? At that point, yeah, you pull Puff to the side and say, yo, okay, you did say you was going to model. You don't even have to say it verbatim, you was going to advance my career, but you could have said, hey, what exactly did, was there something up? Did you need me for something? Or did you need me to, I was wondering, could I, model some clothes off for you? You could have threw it off somewhere like that if you was already uncomfortable with the whole scenario. But you stayed. So, he said, you like weed? He says, never hit weed like this before. So Mckinney later came to understand that Combs had laced the joint with a narcotic, other intoxicating substances. As you heard Machine Gun Kelly, when he hit a blunt from Diddy, his ass was outside on the balcony while he's on the phone conducting business. He outside on the balcony tweaking. Said he just wanted something he could hit real quick so he can just relax on his ride back. And you give him some shit that's got him bugging out butt naked on the balcony. There was some other shit other than weed in that blunt. I'm just saying. So Diddy passed to the joint. Mckinney took a hit, which felt very powerful. Although Mckinney insisted that she had enough after that, Diddy pressured her to imbibe more alcohol and weed by telling her that she was acting too uptight. Now, let's be honest here, right? She already said affirmatively, meaning she's a weed smoker. So she's hit weed before and said, hold up, something else is in this motherfucker. In which she said then, yo, I'm good. I don't need to hit this no more. At that point, you do not hit that blunt anymore. You might have a shot or two or something like that, but you do not hit the blunt anymore if you feel something else is in it and you are a smoker. I'm just saying. Mckinney felt as if she was floating. Seeing Mckinney was very intoxicated, Diddy demanded plaintiff follow him, and he physically led Mckinney to the bathroom. So at this point, Diddy knows, okay, yo, she's fucked up right now. She's fucked up right now. Yo, dude. Yo, watch this real quick. I'm about to get her real quick. I'm pretty sure Diddy is now noticing that she is a little bit off. So he says, okay, let me try to make a move real quick. Wrong thing to do, Diddy. Wrong thing to do. Mckinney was very intoxicated. Well, seeing Mckinney was very intoxicated, Diddy demanded plaintiff follow him, and he physically led McKinney to the bathroom. Now, here's the part where it gets a little bit tricky. Because how does the physically led happen? Does he grab her by the hand and take her to the bathroom? Does she get up and walk to the bathroom and he pushes her? Does he, just go over and say, yo, come with me real quick? Remember, we're not in the club. We're in the studio. Okay? So it's not a men's bathroom, women's bathroom. It's just a unisex bathroom there. Okay? So how exactly does she get to the bathroom? We have to think about that part. In the bathroom, so now we just fast forward, she's in the bathroom after physically led McKinney to the bathroom. In the bathroom, Diddy forced himself on McKinney and began kissing her without her consent. Okay. Diddy then shoved her head down to his crotch before commanding her to suck it. let's pause real quick. So the kissing you without consent part, right? We got to call it down the middle here. The kissing you without consent part. Is he kissing you without consent and then you pushing him off? Because if I'm then reading on to he then shoves your head down and demands you to suck it, I'm saying to myself, okay, maybe you're just a little bit fucked up right now. You don't know where you are. This maybe is not your vibe right now. If I'm Diddy, that's what he should be thinking right there. Because then she says Mckinney refused, but Combs pushed her head down onto his phallus and forced her to perform oral sex on him. As she was being assaulted, Mckinney felt panicked and physically sick. Afterwards, Diddy led Mckinney back into the studio. So, he wasn't successful with trying to get some head because, of course, she felt very uncomfortable. She was already uncomfortable with him kissing on her. She should have pushed off right then and there. Of course, like I said, she's fucked up. She's intoxicated. She's probably really drunk. And whatever was in that blunt had her stimulated enough to at least go into that bathroom and feel, and be somewhat, coherent of the kisses. So when she starts getting pushed down, she's like, wait a minute. Where am I at right now? What am I even doing? And she refuses. But now Diddy's like, nah, you gonna do this, you gonna do it or not. Like Cameron would have said, you gonna suck it or not. See how that correlates. So Diddy then tries to force her to do it, and she gets up, and they go back into the studio. So that right there definitely can be a sexual assault case. For the simple fact that, number one, the blunt was laced. Diddy knew that, allegedly. The drinking also is already a stimulant to cause such things to happen. Then she, of course, goes into the bathroom, typical thing. I'll just say it like that. Goes into the bathroom, starts to be okay with it, of course, because, like I said, the blunt is laced with whatever we just went over, possibly. She starts to be, all right, but then she's like, wait a minute, something else is happening here. I'm not okay with none of this shit. And it just fast forwards to her going back into the studio. Now, of course, a fight wasn't necessarily put up with as far as fisticuffs, but definitely forcing of someone to give you head was. Diddy forced her to give her head, forced her to give him head, and it didn't go down as he planned. Because she, remember, it says trying to force her head down. Pushing her head down, and I don't see any part of where she even opened her mouth and licked it, or, was on it for 2 minutes, or on it for even 2 seconds. It says they went back into the studio. So upon standing and walking, Mckinney felt more and more woozy. Then lost consciousness. So she's back in the studio now and she falls asleep. So it says now Mckinney has awakened in shock to find herself in a taxi cab heading back to the designer's apartment. As she awakens, basically her conscience returned, Mckinney realized that she had been sexually assaulted by Diddy. McKinney felt humiliated and traumatized and without recourse. So it says Diddy assault has caused McKinney lifelong harm. Following the assault, McKinney's modeling opportunities quickly began to dwindle and then evaporated entirely. Upon information and belief, Combs and Combs and McKinney blackballed in the industry and utilized his significant influence to impede McKinney's career growth. McKinney became severely depressed as she began to blame herself for the assault and for sabotaging her own career. The assault led McKinney into a tailspin of anxiety and depression. In or about 2004, McKinney attempted suicide and was hospitalized. Everywhere McKinney looked, she was reminded of Diddy's assault, and Diddy was an inescapable presence in the music, television, and film industry. In the ensuing years, McKinney has also experienced alcohol and drug addiction as she attempted to cope with the emotional trauma of being assaulted. McKinney has also experienced intimacy issues as she struggles to maintain emotional and sexual relationships with men, which is one of the main bigger traumas that most women don't even speak about. That's a whole other topic in itself. Most women do not speak about the actual mental trauma that they have after a sexual assault happens, or a rape happens, or a molestation happens, and so on and so forth. They start to get very, very much guarded from men. So they start to have a lot of trust issues as well. So that also leads to, many breakups, many pretty much just wanting to always reset, because you can't basically find yourself after that. It's very difficult to find yourself and be comfortable with yourself. That's the main important thing there, is to become comfortable with yourself after something like that happens. So McKinney was married from approximately 2006 to 2010. However, her marriage fell apart as she had mental breakdown precipitated by memories of the assault. Diddy's assault has altered the trajectory of McKinney's career, denying her a successful and lucrative career in the modeling and film industries. To this day, McKinney experiences bouts of depression and anxiety, body image issues. Body image issues. Feelings of worthlessness and intimacy issues because of Diddy's assault. McKinney is a woman who of faith, and when she saw news coverage of the lawsuits from Miss Cassie Ventura, Miss Dickerson Neal, and the others, she knew she had a moral obligation to speak up. McKinney prayed to God before bringing this lawsuit, as she feared further violence and or retaliation from Combs, but ultimately decided that she needed to speak her truth. McKinney seeks justice for herself and for any other Diddy victims. So, of course, you got the cause of actions here. It says here, okay, so this is just the regular cause of actions. Of course, we had, they're very similar, very, very similar to Little Rod's case as well. You have the prayer for relief, of course. There's a jury demand. McKinney demands a trial by jury of all issues. So think about that as well. She's not saying, hey, I'm looking for a settlement or a lawsuit. Or as far as say, she's not looking for a settlement. She's not looking for money of any kind. She demands a trial by jury, y'all. It's, dog, understand this.
See, little shit like that lets me further know what it is you really do.
It's about to get a little bit sticky. It's about to get a little bit more sticky for Diddy. She is demanding a trial by jury. She don't want no money. She don't want nothing. Shout out to Plant-Based K, subscribing on Twitch. No, that's YouTube. Excuse me. Shout out to Plant-Based K. Shout out subscribing on YouTube. Katie Mitch also subscribed on YouTube. Also, I said Twitch earlier. So I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, y'all. Shout out to y'all for subscribing. Also, if y'all would like to, y'all can hit the Cash App, Chill Murray 1. But dog, you going down. The diddler is going down, y'all. The diddler is going down. Like I said, she is demanding a trial by jury. Can she demand this all without a police report? Yes. Yes, she can. Because of that act that was passed on March last year. Because of that act. Let's just say, last year. Because of that act, any and everybody can make these allegations. Any and everybody can go to that New York office and file these allegations. Any and everybody that has something to do with something with the diddler. And right now, you can't even say this is a cash grab. This ain't even a cash grab right here. So it was a horse tranquilizer has to mess up your senses. Probably what it was laced with. This is low. Yes, it is. It definitely is. I could believe her more if she went to the cops. Wow, okay, but she will have to prove all of this somehow. Yes. Definitely, she definitely will, but understand this too. So she's had the clothes in her closet wrapped since then. So if there's DNA from Diddy on those clothes that she's had wrapped in that plastic wrap since then, if there's DNA from Diddy on that, that's evidence enough. That is evidence enough. The fact that she kept that from then, and she can present that in a court of law. Like I said, if she's demanding a trial by jury over this, and then they have the evidence of the video footage to go down with it, it's enough to definitely convict him. Is enough to definitely convict him on this particular case when you have, like I said, the footage of what he did to Cassie, the Little Rod case that's going on, the allegations on top of allegations on top of allegations on top of allegations of the same exact thing from the same exact person. It is definitely enough to convict him. No, that's another thing. Black Bleach. No, I don't think they protect him here anymore. The same thing that's going on with Diddy is going on with Drake. The same thing. We've seen this story before, and I meant to talk about this before. The same thing we've seen over and over and over. Every last one of your fallen celebrities before they passed, were they or were they not made ridicule of, humiliated, and pretty much put rock bottom, as Diddy would put it. He ain't seen rock bottom yet, but he about to. Every last one was put rock bottom. Michael Jackson. Look what they did to Mike before he passed. Bill Cosby, everybody. R. Kelly, think about him. Think about all the sexual assault cases and rapes and pedophile cases and acute allegations. Think about all that from all those people. You saw the same thing happen to every last one. Exactly. It feels like Michael Jackson all over again. That's the thing. They kill your public support first. They demolish it completely. They make it so you do not matter anymore before they dismiss you and remove you completely. And then they just vanish. And then it's a VH1 driven. Well, what happened to? Or before you know it, they behind bars or they dead. It just so happens this particular person is allegedly a criminal informant. So it's a little bit more trickier when you have someone that is allegedly a criminal informant that also has videotapes of other alleged criminal informants and other politicians and other people of high stature. It gets a little bit more trickier when it comes to trying to put him down. That's the problem with this one. That's why Diddy hasn't been necessarily arrested, because he has so many other connections that are actually going to be interfering with things. All those connections are quiet right now, including Jay-Z. I asked somebody about that earlier, and they were like, Jay-Z in Japan. Yeah, I know he's in Japan. He's quietly in Japan, supposedly promoting Beyonce and doing other things, right? Right? The quietest nigga I ever seen in my life that was side by side with him every birthday party, brunches, amongst other things, club appearances. He was side by side with this nigga for decades. And all of a sudden you hush. All of a sudden you hush. Something to think about. That's something to think about. But as I mentioned before, yes, they're going to definitely Epstein him and Jay next. All the demonic kingdoms are going to fall. And you know who also spoke about this and said something else going to be reopened? I mentioned this on the Long Crime Network. I said, do you think this case going to be reopened? Somebody else said the same thing. Somebody else said the same exact thing. That certain case about to be
After
reopened.
the video came out, Diddy attacking Cassie, you got a lot of people that feel like Diddy, he probably has something to do with Kim Porter death, and they want the police to reopen her case. How you feel about that?
My man, I wish, for the sake of Kim's family, because, bruh, if you know what I know, he put Kim in a gold casket, then has security, 24-hour security at the funeral home, so nobody would go in there and touch the casket or take Kim out of there. I think that they should reopen our case and have an independent pathologist look at everything about her so she can rest in peace. So I know people, paperwork, and this other young lady on the internet, they are spearheading the reopening of Kim's case. And I hope they do.
How you feel about that personally? What do you think happened to Kim Porter?
Well, personally,
Yeah.
I just can't believe that somebody that had the normal flu, that had doctors on speed dial, that they had enough money that they could get the half of the hospital to come to the house and take care of her, that she died of just ammonia like that. And if you get that point where you can't breathe, and if you know you ever had a cold so bad, I had COVID and I couldn't breathe, but I still made it to the hospital on my own. I can't believe that she stayed in that house, laid in that house, and died like they said she died. So my personal opinion is that somebody need to reopen that case, and there need to be a person that can do an independent autopsy to tell us the truth about what really happened to Kim Porter. When I first heard of Puff violence towards women, and like I told you, I was told this and I heard this. You understand? I used to live right across the street from Eddie F. in Mount Vernon. That was Heavy D and the Boys DJ. Me and Eddie used to have conversations. I don't know, it was Eddie or his brother that told me, but I heard in our conversations that when Misa, he thought Misa was dealing with Eric Sermon, and he beat her so bad, she was trying to get away from him. She had to crawl up under the car. And at the time, Misa was a little something. That's the first time I heard of his violence with women. The second time was when I went to the hospital and Kim had ripped his wrist up. I told people he would do that whenever I was working with him. You know, he would act like that play fight with the pillows and everything, roughing the girls up like that. So if I didn't see nothing like, well, I wouldn't see it because they'd be in the room. But if she don't run out screaming and hollering, or I don't hear no help, ain't nothing I could do about it. But if she come out and she's in distress and he's trying to do something, I'm gonna do something about it. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Cause you not taking my pension away. Cause you know what I do for a living. You not putting me in a situation where I gotta explain to a tribunal of what went down and what happened and why I let it happen. Nah, we're not doing that. I'm a little bit smarter than that. So if you heard about something happening to Kim, it probably wasn't my days working, or some of the other bodyguards was telling me or told me. But it all comes back, bro, to where we at right now. Everything that I've said, that I've heard, that I've displayed to people has came to pass. I say it again. The devil has a plot. God got a plan.
Well said, Gene. Very well said, my brother. Very well said. And furthermore, I do believe the same thing, that her case should be brought back up. Kim Porter's case should be brought back up in light of all the things that not only he is accused of, but all of the other evidence that has been brought forth as far as Kim Porter's case and her autopsy and so on and so forth. So, also, let me read a couple of things here. Jay-Z used to be first one in the door. Now we can't find him anywhere. That's the truth. That is the absolute truth. We can't find this nigga nowhere. No more Rock Nation brunches. No more nothing. No more nothing. No Made in America festivals. He done canceled that. He don't do none of that no more. You don't. All you see is him just behind tucking behind Beyonce tail. You ain't seen him like that in 20, 30 years. That ain't no 444 enlightening. That's just him keeping himself trying to be quiet right now. But what is it? They're gonna get Drake too. We didn't forget that Diddy portrait in his house. No, we did not forget that Diddy portrait in his house. Definitely can't Tusi slide his way out of this one. Way to get another autopsy is to mention she came from Africa during one of their worst Ebola outbreaks and want to make sure she didn't have that. Yeah, that was actually something that they used. BET actually used that bullshit in their article when they pronounced her dead before the actual autopsy even came back. Excuse me, before the actual coroners even pronounced her dead. BET put out an article saying she was dead and said, "Oh, she just came from back from Africa and she was possibly sick and she possibly got the pneumonia and all that from that." But no, 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 no. But that is a good observation. That is a very good observation. There is definitely other ways of getting that autopsy and getting another one done. There definitely is another way of getting that one done. I believe you could possibly say, hey, you know, we found video footage. Now that the feds are working with Cassie, we found video footage of someone tampering with her inhaler. We would like to see the autopsy again, and we would also like to see at what time she took that inhaler in correlation to the time that she passed. So what's that? That's cold, but nobody got brains. Who at the wheel under? That's right. Who at the wheel under? That was one other thing I was saying too. You know, while we're all focused on Diddy, there are other people at the mountaintop that we need to focus on that are definitely getting away with the demise of Diddy, and by using the demise of Diddy as their scapegoat, we are still blindsided. That was why I felt the need to let people know about HR 6090 and the updated amendment of that, which is the protected right of talking about and bashing Jews, which Drake is. Think about it. Drake is actually Jewish. So I want y'all to also think about the fact that when HR 6090 got dropped, all of a sudden that rap battle got cease and desist. I'm going to say it again. When HR 6090 got dropped, which was the updated amendment of you can't necessarily bash Jews, when that got amended and updated, all of a sudden that rap battle just stopped. We got Not Like Us at number one. It's all over the place. You can't necessarily escape it. But at the same time, they trying to keep certain things on the hush hush as far as you doing a defamation of character or any of the such in slander of a Jewish person. So with that being said, I want to also... So King Ozma, yes, that was ether. That's pure ether. What Shaka Khan daughter did. That's pure motherfucking ether. That was pure motherfucking ether. Let me tell you that much. Oops. So, what King Ozma was talking about is Shaka Khan's daughter actually had commented about the response video to Diddy. Excuse me, the apology video to Diddy. She said, "I'm glad this is happening to you. You got in my mother's face publicly, disrespected her, yelling and screaming like a lunatic. When my little brother tried to get you out of my brother's face, your security jumped my 19-year-old brother. These may be your dark days, but I am singing and dancing watching your demise. Shaka Khan. Isn't it great, Mom?" Oh my goodness. Like I said, that was pure ether right there. That was pure ether from Shaka Khan's daughter. So I'm laughing with your mom. Like and I get why, they didn't want to necessarily approve my original caption of that apology, which was "F your apology." Because I know you can't necessarily say that. It's not politically correct to say that. But yeah, Diddy. Everybody else is saying forget your apology, man. Everybody else is saying forget your apology, and we don't want to hear that shit. For the simple fact that you ain't apologizing for Cassie, you would have to be now. Not only the fact that you're not apologizing for anything, you just apologize for the fact you got caught. You also need to apologize for the many, many souls that you have tormented over the years. It ain't just Cassie. It ain't just Cassie. It's many other people that the that their blood is on your hands from them being dead or alive. The money that you owe to people, we ain't even gonna talk about the publishing. Just the amount of things that you've done over the years, man. That apology should have been 2 hours long. I'm just saying. You could have did a whole daily marathon. You could have went on the Jewel Network and say, yo, we need to do a special. I need to say some things. I know y'all selling jewelry, but I need to do this marathon for me right now. You could have did a whole marathon apologizing for the shit you done over the years. And we up to 7 lawsuits right now. I bet y'all $100 we get 10 lawsuits before November. I'm telling you. I bet y'all $100 we get up to 10 lawsuits or more from Diddler by November.